So this is the DDC portal. So if you already have your login details, this is what you'll be able to see. If you don't have your login details, that's not a problem. Just let us know, get in contact with the customer service team, and we'll be able to get those resent over for you. But this is the main homepage. So there's a few different tabs along the top here. There's also a few breakdowns as well. One thing I am going to point out for you is this resource section here. If I just click on and view resource documents, there is a quick start guide, and this summarizes what we're going to go through today. So if you scroll down to the bottom, there is one that says a DDC online PVG quick start guide. So feel free to have a look at that. It does have a few screenshots and it will summarize what I have today. Also on our DDC website, there is a specific URC PVG online quick start guide as well. So feel free to have a look at that, download it, print it out, keep that as your sort of how-to guide for whenever you need it. But again, always the DDC team are here to support you as well. So if you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to get in contact with the team via phone or email, or we'll try and help you as best as we can. But if I just go back to our main homepage, and if I go home at the top here, the first thing or one of the first things you're going to want to do is request an application. And to do that, there's a few different options. So if you're requesting a basic Disclosure Scotland check because they're not in regulated activity, what you just need to do is complete an online application here. So you can either go add new applicant online, or you can choose it from this option as well. This is then going to bring up a separate form for you. Potentially, if you have access to a few churches within the synod, you may be asked to choose which account you'd like to add the check to. So all you would just do is choose that one. But to start the check off, all we need is some very basic details about the individual. And that's things with these red asterisks next to them. So title, forename, surname, date of birth, contact details, email address, and then these job roles here will be already pre-populated for you. So this is based on what we've discussed with the central team at the URC, what has regulated activity, what's needed for these checks. So this will have things like your preachers and things like that. So you will be able to choose whichever role is most appropriate for the individual. If someone has a dual role, so they might do a bit of both, always go for that higher level of check because that will then cover you for working with vulnerable groups. We then have two options at the bottom here. Applicant present, I will input own data. So if you are helping someone complete the application form, you're doing it at the same time with them. If you click on that option, it will then take you over to the application form and you can complete that together, nominate those documents and submit that over. Alternatively, if the person you're going to be sending the application form to is quite confident to do the online form themselves, you can press this Submit Applicant Input Own Data button. And what that will do is send them an email with their own login details and access to the online portal. So that's how you'd request the basic Disclosure Scotland checks. For the PVGs, what we would just do differently is we go Add New Applicant and go Send PVG Form. Again, it's quite a similar page, so there's things to look out for. Again, filling in all those required details. But if we scroll down a bit further on the page, it's going to ask us for things like the UK address, so their current address, and then also their PVG membership details if they are already a member. So again, you'll have your list of drop-down roles available there. It's going to ask you what the type of check is needed. So with the PVG, there's a few different options depending if someone's already an existing member. If they're not, they're completely new to joining the scheme, then it'll just be a PVG new membership. If they're already a member of the PVG scheme, they've already been on that, they've already had a check done previously, potentially it's a recheck, they're coming up to that 5-year period. What we can do is request an update for those members just to make sure that nothing's come back on their certificate in that time. We're just making sure everything still remains quite compliant. Or potentially we might be doing a check for a person who is already on the PVG scheme, but they're applying to work with a new vulnerable group. So previously they might have been on the PVG scheme to be working with children, but now they're working with vulnerable adults as well. So we just need to make sure that we're covered for both aspects of that. And that would be a full record for an existing PVG member. If you do have the disclosure details of their previous PVGs, what you can do is fill in this information here. So things like the membership number, issue date, and then we have also got a few comments there as well if you wanted to pop anything in. Previously, all of the PVG certificates were paper, so you might have a few paper certificates lying around with these statements of membership, but going forward, all PVG certificates issued are online copies, and they're available to view via the Disclosure Scotland portal, registered to that individual going through that check. Again, we've got our two options at the bottom, applicant present I'll input data or applicant to input own data. To show you what the form looks like, what we're going to do is fill out an application together and we can see that full process. So if I just fill in this required information, contact number, email. Another question that pops up is what if the individual doesn't have an email address? Which happens quite often. What you can do is pop in your email address here and complete it on their behalf. But the thing is, the PVG form itself will be sent directly via Disclosure Scotland by email. So the likelihood is if you're having to help someone complete this application form, you will also then need to help to complete the Disclosure Scotland PVG request. So there's two separate forms. There's a DDC form to initiate the request to start that process off, confirm the documents, and then there is the actual PVG membership form with Disclosure Scotland directly. So I just fill in these details. We're going to go for a new PVG membership and we're going to input the data together. If you do miss any fields off, it is a smart application form, so it will tell you if anything is missing and it will just identify that for you. So you can't really go too wrong with it. Perfect. So we've got our new applicant here. If I needed to leave and come back, what we can do is we could always save our username and password, but you will be able to view this via the portal as well. If I just close this off, this is the PVG application. So what we need to do is fill out some details in order to get that check started. So again, it's things with a red asterisk next to them that are mandatory. So gender, surname at birth, if they've used any other names at all. So if someone's been married or been adopted or changed a name in any format, they still need to be declared. Potentially, if your name was Matthew, for example, but you can go on Matt on some legal documents, it's always worth including that just to make sure that it's covered. Again, we're just going to ask for some birth details. So birth town, birth country, nationality. Our address is already there because it's been pre-populated from that previous slide, so hopefully it will save you completing less information. Pop in that. It fills the 5-year address criteria, so that's just automatically disappeared. But if you did need to include any other addresses, if you go show hidden data, potentially someone might be residing between 2 addresses or have recently moved, then you have the option to pop all of those in there. Contact details, again, that will be pre-populated from that previous page. But if you do have a different contact number you'd rather be approached on, feel free to pop that in there. And then it's going to ask us for some details about the documents that are looking to check. So on this initial page, what we ask is if someone has a passport or a driver's license. All we would just need to do is pop in those details. So if I go, that's my passport number, my date of birth, country of issue, nationality, and when that passport was issued. Does it match my current name? Yep, great. If I don't have a passport, it's not a problem. The check can still be completed. All I just do is tick this box here. So if I just tick I don't have a driver's license, just so we can come down, we're then going to come across some consents and declarations. So this is just making sure, obviously, the individual consents to the check being carried out. They know what's going to happen with that check process, and then obviously for us to be able to share the results with the URC. So if I just consent to that and go next step documents, it is highlighted in green. So hopefully that triggers you to know what the next steps are. But if you wanted to come back later, potentially you haven't got your passport on you, it's hiding in the cupboard somewhere and it's going to take you at least 10 minutes to find it. You are more than welcome to save it and complete it later. This information will still all be there for you. It just stops the form sort of freezing and throwing you out and then have to do it all over again. But for the purpose of this, if we go to next step documents, it's going to ask us for our security question. And this is just to secure the data that we've already inputted, just to make sure that it can't be accessed inappropriately. But if we go to continue, we're now going to come over to our Route 1 nomination overview. So this is where the document checking aspect comes in. And in order to submit this PVG application, what we need is a minimum of 3 documents. One of those being a Group 1 document, so something like a passport, a driver's license, an original birth certificate or adoption certificate, document showing our date of birth, document showing our current address, an image of the person being checked, and all of those are to be verified. Because we added our passport to the previous page, so the details from that, we know that that's going to be showing our date of birth, and it's also going to be showing an image of us in that passport. So those two are already ticked and they're ready to go. But what we just need now is another document, one of those showing a current address, and then all of those to be verified. So if you're with the individual at the moment, obviously we can see we've got our passport there, and then we've also got a list of all the other appropriate documents. So let's say, for example, you're verifying someone's document, you're going through the process together, and they've brought in a mortgage statement. What you can do is just click on this mortgage statement here, and it's going to bring you up to this mortgage statement page. So this is guidance on things to look out for, making sure the document's legitimate, it's in date, and it also has the name of the individual. So if we scroll down a little bit, what we can do is we can answer a few of these questions. So what's the issue of the document? We put in NatWest, for example. The issue date, you can type it in or you can use this little calendar box there to choose the dates for you. The postcode of the delivery address. And there's also going to ask you to upload a file. So what this is because of the Disclosure Scotland guidelines, what we have to do is audit the data and keep a copy of that. So as part of this process, what we would then need to do is upload a copy of this mortgage statement to the system. We at DDC keep this secure for you, so you don't then need to keep a copy for yourself. It's purely to add it to the portal. We'll keep that safe, we'll keep it protected. And then if it does get to Disclosure Scotland needing any auditing purposes, we've got that available. It will then be deleted in line with GDPR, so it won't sort of stay on the system for any longer than it has to. But we manage that process for you, so you don't need to worry about having copies of passports or anything lying around. It's all through the portal. So you choose your file, pop that in there. See if I've got anything. Perfect. I've just uploaded that. We've got our sample there. You can see that. You can double check you have added the right picture. You've not accidentally uploaded a picture of your cat or anything like that. And then what we can do is scroll down and answer a few of these questions based on the document. So although you've uploaded a copy of the document, you still need to see that original one just to make sure it all matches up to this information provided. So is this a good likeness? Yes. Does this match this current name? Yes. What's the name of the surname? What's the document address? What's the postcode? If we submit that, we can now see we've got our current address ticked off and we've got a further tick here. It's been added on. So we do that for all 3 documents and then we'd be able to submit the application. So that's if you're completing it on an individual's behalf, you're doing it with them. Someone has already completed the application form and nominated their documents without your assistance. So what would you need to do in order for the checking those? What we can do is go up to the top here and we've got a designated check applicant section. If I click on actions, it's going to bring us up to this table here. And what we're really looking for is this ready for check tab. So if I click onto that, I've got 2 applicants here, Stephen Brown and Lisa Smith, that I know as a verifier, I need to check, make sure their documents are legitimate, book an appointment with them if you haven't already, and we're going to check to make sure they are suitable. So if we look at Lisa's application, we can see we've got our criminal record there. If I click onto it, it's going to bring us up to this Route 1 nomination overview page again. But instead of us having to add the documents, these have already been done for us. So we've got our passport, a bank statement, and a birth certificate. So if I go to verify, it's still going to give you the guidance, so it's still going to tell you what to look out for. But if we scroll down, we're now going to be able to see a copy of that passport. And we're going to answer a few yes, no tick box questions about it as well. Is it a good likeness? Is that the number? Is it valid or has it expired? Have the corners been cut off? So that's always some things to look out for. Is this matching up with the name, birth data? Is it British passport and you're happy it's not fraudulent or anything like that? We press submit. If I accidentally add the wrong information or if I tick the wrong box, do not panic. It will flag up on the system for you. So you can't really incorrectly submit these documents. So if I go back and choose the correct option, press submit, passport has been added and verified to the list. So we've now got our green tick. If I just quickly do this for all 3 documents, so imagine I've got the original in front of me and I'm cross-referencing it to this image on the portal, answering a few of these questions. I'm happy that that matches up. All the information provided is accurate. Press submit. Again, we've got our next statement verified. We've got another green tick. If I go to verify our final document, we've got our birth certificate there. We've got all the details. Is this a good likeness? Am I happy? So it's quite a quick, straightforward process. All you're doing really, if someone else has done it, is adding and checking these details. What you can see now is this submit application button has turned green. So that means that we've met the criteria for the PVG document requirements, and we're happy that we can now initiate this check properly. So if I press submit application, we can see that it's been successfully submitted to DDC, and we're now going to start off that PVG process. So we'll request that with Disclosure Scotland based on the identity documents provided and the information, and then the individual will get an email from Disclosure Scotland to complete that PVG application form. If I just go back to my check applicants section here, though, I've still got my other applicant, but I wanted to let you know about something else that needs to be verified. So if I have a look, one of the requirements for the documentation is the image of a person being checked. So if someone has a passport or a driver's license, because your photo is on that document, it's already covered. You know, obviously your selfie is going to be on that picture. But for example, if you had a birth certificate, a bank statement, and a mortgage statement, none of those documents actually contain an image of you. So we just need to do another check to make sure it is really that person and it is their documents. So what we'll ask the individual to do in those cases is to upload a picture of themselves. So this is Stephen Brown. This is a picture he's uploaded. Hopefully you'll know Stephen or whoever it is. You can go, actually, yep, that is him. I'm happy that he is who he says he is. He's not uploaded again a picture of someone else. Or what we need to do is press the button here just to say the applicant looks like the person shown. If they have uploaded a picture of their cat, you can retake the photo for them as well, just to make sure that goes through. But just because of that auditing with Disclosure Scotland, we need to make sure we've got the appropriate information for it. Again, that's now been ticked off, so we'd go through that same process and verify our documents there, submit the application, and then it comes over to DDC. Once you've done that, obviously it comes over to us, but how do you check what stage an application is in? Where is it? What's going on with it? And to manage that, what we can do is go to Manage Applications, and we can see all of our applications here. So we've got this grid, and it'll tell us all of our applicant names, current statuses that they're in, and the date of that latest status. To make it a bit easier for you, what I like to do is break it down by sections. So we've got completed, got a check here for Boris. We can see we've got our disclosure has been issued, we've got our number, and we've also got our issue date. So we know that check's been completed. If there's a recheck reminder on it, when that time period comes up, you'll go and get that email to let you know. Obviously, a new check needs to be completed. With applicant means that it's currently with that individual, whereas if it's yourself completing it with them, or if they've got that email, they're going to do it at home later tonight. But within this section, there are a few options on sort of those stages in general. So for Stevens, we can see that he's completed his applicant input, but we're waiting for those document checks. So if we go back to that tab at the top, he appears on that ready to check tab as well for you. So it's just another place where you can pick that information up. For Rodney, we can see the form's been sent to him. That was sent today, so he's got that. He'll have a look at it, he'll complete it. Keith at the bottom, we've got applicant confirm receipt form. So in those cases, we know that they've logged on, they've had a look at the application, but they've not yet fully completed that or submitted it to have those documents checked. There's a few different stages to look out for, but with DDC, we will send those reminders as well to individuals. If they have any questions, we will then be able to follow up and help with those. With DDC, that means that we're checking the applications over and we're submitting it to Disclosure Scotland. We've just submitted Lisa's application, so we can see it's now with DDC since today. Submitted means that it's currently with Disclosure Scotland. They're processing their check. It usually takes around 10 to 14 days at the moment, but we know it's currently waiting with them. If there's any queries, we'll let you know, or we'll let the individual know, and we'll go through that process. But we're just waiting for it to be issued. We've also got withdrawn, so potentially if someone's left the church or if the check was no longer required, you can withdraw them via the portal, and that stops that check from then being completed. If you wanted to specifically look through dates, you can filter this as well. So if you're looking for any applications that were over the last 5 years, we can go back there, filter that, and see if there's anything that we need. And if you really wanted to, you can email a CSV file over to yourself, which is a breakdown of that raw data and those stages of this Manage Applications tab. Just another thing to mention for you, which might be quite helpful. On settings at the top, you can change your password. So if you do get a new one, you want to make it a bit more memorable, all those letters and numbers are quite hard. You can change it there.